Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. You're watching Newsroom. I'm your host, Omar Khalid. But today is the 26th of July 2021, and these are the stories that we will be talking about during the course of the show. We will begin with the ties that exist between Pakistan and China in the context of the visit of our Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi to China. A lot of important things were discussed during the meeting between the two foreign ministers, and a lot of pledges were made also between the two countries, whether it be to work jointly for peace in the region, whether it be to also jointly work for peace in Afghanistan, to also work towards COVID-19 and how it has impacted the countries in the region and other important issues. This is going to be our leading segment of the day, in which we'll be talking about the importance of the bilateral relationship and cooperation between the two countries. Our second segment, ladies and gentlemen, concerns the fight against the IS after the US withdrawal. Now, the Al-Qaeda, as per reports, is present in 15 Afghan provinces, as per a report that has been presented by the United Nations. This is the 28th report of the Analytical Support and Sanctioning Monitoring Team. And of course, he's a lot of importance because not only does it talk about the IS, it also talks about the TTP, it also talks about the ISIL and other important factions that are present inside of Afghanistan, and how can they can impact peace in the region. Then also the United States has said that it will continue airstrikes inside of Afghanistan. This is also a very important point because General McKenzie, who said that this is going to happen, also is in the context of the US forces that are now exiting Afghanistan. But despite that, this comment comes as a certain turn point as far as the military presence in Afghanistan is concerned, direct or indirect. Now we will talk about, as our third case, a surge in the COVID-19 cases, whether it be Mr. Asad Umar, whether it be our Prime Minister who first said it, or whether it be Dr. Faisal Sultan. The number of COVID cases are increasing day by day in the country. In Karachi, in the major cities, the positivity ratio is 24.82. In Islamabad, it's 10.95%. Are we not taking care of ourselves and our loved ones? Are we following the SOPs or not? What needs to be done in order to further curtail this before it goes out of control? And then finally, ladies and gentlemen, we will be talking about the green revolution that has been brought about by the current government of Imran Khan and Prime Minister Imran Khan, whether it be the 10 billion tree tsunami that the Prime Minister has pledged, whether it be the countrywide monsoon plantation drive that began today in the F9 park. This was inaugurated by the Prime Minister Imran Khan, and of course he planted a seedling himself, and he of course talked about the importance of the tree plantation and of course a clean and green Pakistan. Let's begin with our first segment, ladies and gentlemen, and that concerns the ties that exist between Pakistan and China, and of course all this in the context of the recent visit of our Foreign Minister to China. More in the following report.
The time-tested, resilient Sino-Pak ties endured yet another deadly blow, that is, Dasu test. The joint statement issued after talks between Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi and his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi in Beijing illustrated that the Pakistan's robust ties with Himalayan giant remained undeterred after Dasu tragedy. The Foreign Office emphasized in a tweet after the conclusion of the visit of Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi to China that Pakistan-China friendship has flourished from strength to strength, unaffected by vicissitudes of time and changes in regional and global environment. Earlier, on 14th of July, at least 13 people, including 9 Chinese nationals, were killed in an incident in Dasu, which was initially termed an accident. However, the joint statement on Saturday made it clear that it was a terrorist attack. After the bus incident, the crucial Joint Cooperation Committee, Apex Forum for CPEC, was postponed. But the joint statement suggested that both sides remain undaunted by heinous sabotage designs and are vehemently committed to the multi-billion-dollar flagship program, CPEC, of China's Belt and Road Initiative. Pakistan tendered ironclad assurance to Chinese government that it would ensure comprehensive security arrangement for Chinese workers. The much celebrated China-Pakistan economic corridor has entered a new phase of high-quality development, substantially contributing to the socio-economic development in Pakistan. Pakistan and China are striving to unleash the complete potential of regional connectivity and development venture to catalyze economic and social development, job creations and improvement of people's livelihood, and further strengthen cooperation in industrial park, infrastructure development, science and technology.
Now, to talk about the different gamuts of relationship and bilateral cooperation between Pakistan and China, and what are the different issues that both countries will be working together in the future, we've been joined by Mohammad Sheraz. He's a foreign affairs expert. Sheraz, thank you very much to have joined us. I hope you are COVID safe and your family is as well. How important is the visit of Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi to China in all of the context of the Afghan peace process, of COVID-19, of the incident that involved the Chinese the people who also were killed, and many other issues that pertain to China and Pakistan?
Well, I think it's a very significant event which is happening within South Asia. And then again, we have to understand that with the withdrawal of the U.S. forces, not just the forces which are withdrawing from Afghanistan, but also their political influence within this region, and the backdrop of the ongoing competition between United States of America and China. So it very much puts China in the spotlight, China as a great state in a way. So in that context, China equally understands the fact that the challenges being faced by not only the region, but specifically and more importantly by Pakistan, because as you touched upon, multiple collaborative, you can say, initiatives taken by the Chinese government and Pakistani government, most importantly, China-Pakistan economic corridor, which is definitely a game changer. But the most important thing over here is that ambition, that economic connectivity, regional integration, which we are talking about, and which China is eyeing toward. It's more importantly linked to the success of China-Pakistan economic corridor. So that's why we see it's not just just a corridor. It's something which will.
Sheraz, let's talk. Let's start by talking about the China-Pakistan economic corridor, the economic, of course, cooperation between the two countries, and the spoilers that are not wanting this cooperation to strengthen further. We all know what has happened in the past. We all know what kind of instability different factions, different other sections in the region are trying to put on China and Pakistan, so that some kind of a dent occurs as far as this economic cooperation is concerned. How can Pakistan and China work together in order to curtail these spoilers?
I think that's where what I'm pointing towards. The region after the U.S. withdrawal, especially their declaration of the withdrawal, the region now becomes more close to what we call, we can say that China is the main stakeholder. That's what makes China the main stakeholder in the region. And according to this, I think in that context, Pakistan and China collaboration, especially on this side of the region where Gwadar, port is available, and then again with the passage of time, we have seen the U.S.-India strategic partnership, how it is being reshaped, especially in the backdrop of the COVID. So all these contexts, I think it's important that Pakistan and China work more closely as they are. This meeting is very much clearly not only gives a shut-up call to the conspiracy theories which are, emerging and emanating from the West regarding what happened at Dasu and other terrorist-related activities. And I think this very much says an open statement, an unequivocal message to the international community that these challenges are already understood by both the states, and that's what this collaboration is all about. Whenever there is a challenge, these two countries come closer in order to address that challenge. And obviously, we have seen that Pakistan over the period of past many years, especially after the 9/11, Pakistan has worked tirelessly in order to ensure to control this and eliminate the menace of terrorism within Pakistan, and then again to point towards a conclusive, logical conclusion to what is happening in Afghanistan. So after the withdrawal, I think China, Pakistan's role in Afghanistan as partners, as major regional stakeholders will be tested, and then again that is going to be something which will decide the fate, and which is going to be the main, you can say, a player in the dream, which needs to be translated into reality, that of economic integration at the regional level. So Pakistan and China, as we have seen, the collaboration on the security side was there for long term, and now we are seeing a more concrete,
and the challenges are also increasing,
evolving
Sheraz, especially when it concerns Afghanistan, especially when it concerns Balochistan, and of course the targeting specifically of Chinese that is happening with a deliberate attempt to hamper the relationship between Pakistan and China. Now on Saturday, Pakistan and China, Sheraz, called on all Afghan stakeholders to agree to a comprehensive ceasefire and work together for a broad-based, inclusive and negotiated political settlement. How important do you feel that this statement will pay heed as far as the Afghan peace process is concerned? Because a lot of changes are happening as we speak in our neighboring country.
Well, this is where the Afghan Taliban come in, and I think there is a change as far as the Afghan Taliban are concerned. Not probably at the local policy level, but at the international policy level. At the international level, they want some kind of recognition, and that is why I think there will be compromises made at the international level in order to continue whatever be the future of Afghanistan. It's not being said that Afghan Taliban will be the future leaders, but it will, whatever the future lies for Afghanistan, Afghan Taliban will be a major stakeholder. So in that context, I think Pakistan has always been saying this, that politically negotiated solution is the only solution, is the only wise way forward. So in that context, I think Pakistan and China collectively can play a very constructive role in order to, bringing both the parties, intra-Afghan parties, on the table, and then again coming up with something which is acceptable for both the partners. Because without a collaborative consensus-based decision, I don't think so the Afghan peace process can continue. And in that context, the role of China and Pakistan and other stakeholders, specifically in the region, I think it will become very crucial. And we have seen the significance of multilateral platforms such as SCO and such other platforms. I think these will also play a very important role in order to moving towards a wise, a logical conclusion to the Afghan embargo. So in that context, I think it's important the continuous efforts made by Pakistan, and then the collaboration which we see on both Pakistan and Chinese side to now cover these challenges. China fully understands the fact this region, the kind of challenges this region faces, and that's why they are, these efforts by the spoilers, as you mentioned, are being, are accepted as challenges rather than, taking them as some kind of a setback. It's a challenge which that's why it's resulting in bringing both Pakistan and China more closer as compared to earlier, and that's where the future of this region is basically, because in the upcoming decades, I think it's going to be regions competing with other regions, and that's where the Chinese are emphasizing and pinpointing. So if this region is able to resolve its issues, especially the Afghan problem and terrorism and other such related issues, I think the economic integration will lead to the kind of development ever seen by the world.
All right. And finally, Sheraz, when Wang Yi says during the visit of Shah Mahmood Qureshi Sahab to China that Beijing and Pakistan will be working together for a shared future, which other particularities of the shared future are there present apart from the China-Pakistan economic corridor, apart from jointly working together for peace in the region, also to thwart any spoilers in the region? What are the other particularities of this shared future that Wang Yi talks about?
Well, if we talk about the social interactions, the science and development, research and development sectors, I think there's a huge margin of collaboration which exists and can be exploited by both the countries. The kind of collaboration which we are seeing and has been experiencing after the COVID, the China-Pakistan collaboration in this particular scientific aspect in order to control, limit, and then the vaccination drive. I think these are the soft collaborative side of the relationship which needs to be emphasized more, and we have seen that's where the focus is diverting eventually, and that is where the success lies, and we can see that in the upcoming years, it's if the hard issues are resolved successfully, I think the soft issues will take precedence, and that is where the future of the region lies.
Thank you very much, Sheraz, to have joined us. Mohammad Sheraz, Foreign Affairs Analyst, joining us to talk about the importance of the relationship and the different gamut of bilateral cooperation between Pakistan and China that is getting stronger by every day. And of course, an example of it is the visit of Shah Mahmood Qureshi. More after this break. Now, the 28th report of the Analytical Support and Sanctions Monitoring Team has been taken out by the United Nations that talks about the presence of Al-Qaeda in at least 15 provinces. More in the following report.
The hushed US exit from Afghanistan has been followed by dramatic developments whereby ground realities are unfolding at astronomical pace, shaping the contours of post-US withdrawal country. The Taliban have in recent days seized vast swathes of land, including major border crossings and important security checkposts hitherto controlled by Afghan security apparatus. While sensing the urgency of volatile regional development, top US General Kenneth McKenzie, head of the US Army Central Command, emphasized that the United States will continue airstrikes in support of Afghan forces fighting the Taliban. Denying the prospects of inevitable Taliban victory, US General asserted that Taliban were nowhere close to victory while acknowledging tough days ahead for incumbent Afghan government. McKenzie's statement surfaced as Afghan officials in the southern province of Kandahar revealed that fighting in the region had displaced about 22,000 families in the past month. Meanwhile, a United Nations report prepared for the Security Council containing the latest information on ISIL, Al-Qaeda and their affiliates divulged that Al-Qaeda is present in at least 15 Afghan provinces, primarily in the eastern, southern and southeastern regions. The report notes that despite a US-Taliban peace deal signed in Doha in February last year, the security situation in Afghanistan remains fragile, with uncertainty surrounding the peace process and a risk of further deterioration. Ousted from power in a US-led invasion in 2001 after the September 11 attacks, the Taliban have spearheaded a deadly insurgency that continues to this day. Earlier this week, the chairman of the US Joint Chief of Staff, General Mark Milley, acknowledged that the Taliban appear to have strategic momentum on the battlefield.
Now, as far as this report that has been submitted by the United Nations, it talks about different groups that are present inside of Afghanistan, whether it be Al-Qaeda that are present in at least 15 provinces of the country, whether it be the, of course, the Al-Qaeda in the subcontinent, they call it AQIS, whether it be other groups such as the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, which of course it warns that it is continuing to pose a threat to the region with the unification of splinter groups and increasing cross-border attacks, whether it be other groups as well that include of course, the Central Asian group that is called Khatiba Imam al-Bukhari group, or Islamic Movement of Uzbekistan, and other splinter groups as well. These are posing a threat as far as peace and stability to Afghanistan is concerned, and that is what the report has deliberated in detail as far as the future of Afghan peace is concerned and how to move about in order to bring peace and stability in the country. To talk more about that and also the statement that has come by General McKenzie, we've been joined by Lieutenant General retired Naeem Lodhi Saab. He's a defense analyst. Sir, thank you very much to have joined us.
It's
Sir,
a pleasure.
first of all, let's talk about this 28th report that has come in the United Nations, and that talks about the different groups, including Al-Qaeda and of course Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan and the different other groups, a lot of other groups that we did not know beforehand existed in Afghanistan. What is the importance of all these different splinter groups, sir? And how much do you feel they are going to create instability or in the future?
Thank you very much. The first thing to note is that these groups could not have erupted within these few weeks, after the American and NATO forces left. So, which clearly means that they were there all the time, whether they were hiding or they were outside or whatever it is. So, one thing is clear that, and also we had reports quite some time back that many of these groups are actually being established by some foreign powers. I will not name them. I will not be able to, clearly pinpoint. So all this was happening right under the nose of NATO forces and UN forces. So it is, whereas it is a news for us, but I don't think it is anything new for them. If they really wanted to fight these groups, or if they wanted to curb these groups, they were just small groups. They were fighting such a large force like Afghan Taliban. So these small groups shouldn't be being a problem if they really wanted to eliminate them. So if I have to make an assessment, I would say that they knew about them all along. Now they are naming these groups and taking refuge behind their existence. They really want to help Afghan government to perpetuate their tenure as long as possible, and then further, which means to create further turmoil for as long as possible. Because if we stick to two principles, which we say that we have no favorites, and we have the Afghan, and we believe in Afghan-led and Afghan-owned solution, that clearly means that everybody else should also stop playing favorites. If somebody is helping Afghan government to continue its hold, then they are playing a favorite. And if they are saying that there are other groups here, then as I said, they have not erupted overnight. So actually, what I perceive and what I analyze as a result of all this is that they want to perpetuate turmoil in Afghanistan. They don't
To the
want
benefit
to leave
of the current
Afghanistan to the
Afghan
Afghans.
government. That is what you're trying to implicate.
Yeah, I'm saying they're not leaving Afghanistan to Afghans. They want to have their say in it, and they want to stop everyone else from interfering except themselves.
All right, now where does that leave the peace process between the Afghan government and the Afghan Taliban, and where does that leave also the current situation as far as the Afghan Taliban are concerned, because we're hearing the reports that they are gathering more and more strength every single day?
You know, one thing is for quite, and mathematically it is true, militarily it is true, that if the combined forces of US and NATO and Afghan army, they could not defeat Afghan Taliban. Over the horizon operations supporting Afghan government will not be able to really overcome them. The only thing is it will prolong the conflict. That is to say, that is what I was also hinting at. And another thing, by bombing Afghan Taliban, which has happened twice in the last week, Americans have also violated the treaty, an agreement between Afghan Taliban and the US themselves, because they had agreed that neither Afghan Taliban will attack them nor they will attack Afghan Taliban, but now they are doing it.
Are they regretting the fact that they are exiting Afghanistan too soon?
They have exited already. Otherwise, they wouldn't have carried on the air strikes. Air strikes they have only carried out once the last American is out of Afghanistan, except of course their staff, this embassy staff and the required people to support that embassy staff. I don't think any American is there. Otherwise, they wouldn't have taken this risk, because Afghan Taliban will react. And if they are being bombed, they can go after any US personnel, uniformed personnel in the area. So I think they are trying to further vitiate the environment so that this conflict prolongs. That is my take.
All right. Also, sir, when General Kenneth McKenzie talks about continuing airstrikes into Afghanistan, what do you make of it? Do you foresee some kind of a US base in some other country? Because of course we know that Pakistan has refused access to any such base in our country. Which other countries do you feel are being used now by the US as far as base is concerned in order to continue to bombard Afghanistan, as per the statement of General Kenneth McKenzie?
I think this is just my guess that they are using Indian Ocean, their fleet aircraft carriers. From there the planes are taking off, and they must be using the border between Iran and Pakistan to fly over. And also Pakistan, I think till 11th of September is bound by that treaty that they cannot stop them. I am not very sure about it, how it is happening, because they have not said it themselves. But once General McKenzie says that they will keep supporting the Afghan government with over-the-horizon, operations.
In the coming weeks, I mean, he doesn't talk of 1 week, he doesn't talk of a couple of days, he talks about a couple of weeks, which is indeterminate as far as time is concerned.
So I think it would have been better if they had also told us about the objectives of this, So the objective is clearly to prolong the hold of Afghan government, which has lost its I should say hold on Afghanistan, which means that they don't want Afghans to settle their disputes by talking or by amongst themselves. They want to really side with one of the parties. I do not know what impact it will have on other neighbors, because I think the first bad thing which can happen is that Iran may jump in, and they might start siding with some of the elements whom they support. And Pakistan has already said that we will not play any favorites, whereas Pakistan is the most affected party. So let us see how the things unfold. It is a fluid situation. It is an evolving situation. One can't say, definitely about what is going to happen. But in my own opinion, ultimately Afghan Taliban will prevail, because if boots on ground of 150,000 soldiers could not stop them, they will not be able to stop them just by over the horizon, operations.
All right, sir. When it also comes to another part of the statement by General Kenneth McKenzie, he said, and I quote, "The Taliban are attempting to create a sense of inevitability about their campaign. They are wrong. Taliban victory is not inevitable." This is what he says, quote unquote. How do you see this statement?
It is not only his statement. Similar statements have come from UK, statements have come from USA, that the possibility of a one Taliban takeover is very much there. And they have been actually asking and pleading Afghan president to please talk to them and relent some space. Don't be so stubborn, because they have told them that you will not be able to hold on. So all these things have been coming. So I think they are showing their allegiance and affiliation with Afghan government, all right. But in their heart, they know that they will not be able to stop the onslaught and the spate of victories going, which are there as far as the Afghan Taliban are concerned. The only thing is that they could be delayed a bit, but they will not be able to stop them.
How do you see, of course, the hold of the Afghan Taliban also, because we are hearing reports from different regions of Afghanistan that the Afghan Taliban are gaining slowly and steadily more and more hold over the country. Despite the statements that emanate from Kenneth McKenzie or from other segments or from the Afghan government, how do you see that? Don't you feel that at some point of time the Afghan government will have to come to some kind of terms of agreement with the Afghan Taliban?
I think that is quite obvious, but the only thing is that everybody wants to talk from a position of strength. So probably Afghan government wants to create a situation where they have some ground strength, whereby they can have a better bargain as far as the Afghan Taliban is concerned. The conflict which is going on in Afghanistan is of a very strange nature. It is a hybrid sort of thing. In certain areas, Afghan Taliban are gaining space just by talking to the people. In certain areas, they are fighting, but they are expanding very rapidly. But because of these, air operations, maybe their advances will slow down a bit, and maybe some areas will maybe taken back by the Afghan forces. Although such indications are very small and very rare. And also, that many Afghan personnel, they have crossed over towards Pakistan. 33 about a few days back, and I think 46 last night or yesterday. So all these things are happening. Situation is fluid. One thing is for sure, that militarily, Afghan Taliban are the heavier side. And
all right, last question, sir, last question. On one hand, General Kenneth McKenzie talks about the Taliban victory not being inevitable. On the other hand, earlier this week, Chairman of the UN Joint Staffs of Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley, also said that the Taliban appear to have strategic momentum on the battlefield. Why are there contradictory statements coming out from the US side?
No, I think they are saying the same thing. Once McKenzie says that Taliban victory is not inevitable, or even if he says that victory is not inevitable, so this means that there are 50-50 chances, the chances are there. And the same thing is being said by their journals inside from America. So I think they all agree, and the world knows that ultimately Afghan Taliban, they will take over the country. But how long and whether
only time will tell. I mean, it's a matter of time, but how long, this is only time will tell. Thank you very much, General Naeem Lodhi Sahab, to have joined us, defense analyst talking to us about the situation in Afghanistan, of course, in the context of the comments that have come from General Kenneth McKenzie, also the report that has come out from the United Nations that talks about the different groups that are present currently in Afghanistan. Let's go to our last two segments very quickly. First of all is the fourth wave of COVID-19. We know that a lot of people are getting infected. The positivity ratio has increased worthwhile across all the different cities of Pakistan, whether it be Karachi and 24.82%, Islamabad 10.95%, Rawalpindi 18.59%, Peshawar 12.41%. The positivity ratio is increasing every day. In Karachi, there have been strict measures that have been put into place by the government of Sindh, and at the same time different sections of the society and our leaders also, whether it be Asad Umar Saab or Dr. Faisal Sultan or our Prime Minister, have warned us about the fourth wave of COVID-19. We need to be extremely prudent in this day and age with the Delta variant that is engulfing different parts of the world, including Pakistan. We need to follow the SOPs, and that becomes primordial in this day and age. Let's come to our final segment, ladies and gentlemen, and that concerns the Plantation Drive that took place today at the F9 Park in Islamabad. This Plantation Drive was inaugurated by our Prime Minister Imran Khan. This is part of the Clean and Green program that the current government is endeavoring to have across the country, and our Prime Minister talked about the importance of a clean and green Pakistan, the importance of the 10 billion tree tsunami, and the importance of planting trees. It's extremely pertinent to note that Pakistan, being amongst the most vulnerable countries due to climate change, needs to take the measures, and it's not just the responsibility of the government, it's also the responsibility of its citizens to partake their share as far as the future of the country is concerned. Just plant a tree, plant a sapling. That will bring about that little change in the future of your country. With that, we come to an end of today's newsroom. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow. New segments, new stories. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe. Follow the SOPs. Get yourselves vaccinated. Allah Hafiz.